Hey guys, Billy here. I'm a multi-gladiator hunter, and this video is the third installment in the series of how to beat every class in the game. And this video explains how you can beat Paladins as a hunter. If there is anything else you'd want to see me change or would like added to this series, then let me know in the comments or in my Discord. Don't forget to subscribe to ensure that you won't miss out on any of the hunter content, and you can also catch me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Billybobbs and you can join my Discord. I'll put the links to both of these in the description, and I hope you enjoy the video. Firstly, I'll just talk about the overall game plan into rets in 3s and then also briefly in 2s. This is mainly because rets aren't that popular in 2s, however in 3s they are quite popular. In 3s, rets will play 3 main comps, and these are PHP, which is Priest, Hunter, Pala, Ret Warrior, and with this they can run almost any healer, and then rets with any other melee and a healer. And in almost all cases, the ret will be the kill target, as although they do extremely high damage when they have cooldowns, they will die after they've used defensives, and some comps can even kill them through their defensives. So for example, if you're playing jungle, then you're likely going to be able to kill a ret through his Shield of Vengeance as long as you have CC on their healer. Additionally, rets are normally only very dangerous when they pop their cooldowns. So if you're able to either CC them or kite whilst they're using CDs, you'll take a lot less damage overall, and this will increase your chance of surviving, as rets damage is very scripted. On the screen now you'll see the main important abilities that ret has. I'll just display them here and then I'll explain most of them in detail later in the video. These abilities are Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Freedom, Blessing of Sanctuary, Seraphim, Hammer of Justice, Avenging Wrath, Final Reckoning, Divine Toll, and Shield of Vengeance. Into all ret comps, you'll want to try and get CC on the healer and then a stun on the ret at the same time. And if you can have your healer CC the third player, that's great. The best way to do this, normally as a hunter, is to stun the healer into a trap and then have your other DPS, which is normally a feral, stun the kill target, which will be the ret. There are some things that you need to be aware of when trapping versus ret teams. For example, on top of the normal abilities that you have to bait from healers such as Death and Grounding, you'll also need to be careful of Sanctuary. Sanctuary will remove a stun or a fear on the healer, and this will make any more stuns or fear on the healer half duration for 5 seconds. It's extremely useful to track when the ret has Sanctuary, so that you can see if he is likely to use it when you're going to stun the healer to go for a trap. If they do, you should be patient and wait to ensure that you can hit the trap, because as soon as the healer is out of the stun, they could use their Death or Grounding, so just be very wary of this, and it's better to take an extra 5 to 8 seconds to ensure that you hit the trap rather than throwing it and then missing it. The talents that I'd recommend running against a ret pala are Animal Companion, Scent of Blood, Camouflage, Thrill of the Hunt, Post Haste, Stomp, and Aspect of the Beast. So these are the normal ones you run, as you don't need Binding Shot versus rets, as they would just be able to freedom it. And then as for PvP talents, I would run Chimeral Sting, Roar Sacrifice, or Survival Tactics. Survival Tactics is extremely important, as you can feign death their hammers while they're in the air to avoid a lot of damage, or you could feign death, say, the breaking of their shields. Roar of Sacrifice is again extremely important as it lines up well with Seraphim, and this will reduce the overall amount of damage you take in a burst, meaning that you're likely going to survive instead of just flopping. As for the third talent, this is fairly optional, however I like Chimeral Sting as this can be used on the ret or on the healer. You could also swap it out for Kindred Beasts if you'd prefer the short freedom, or even Explosive Trap if you'd like to knock the ret away on certain maps. And then you could also use the Beast Within, for example, if you're against a Priest. Now I'll go into more detail about Blessing of Protection or BOP. It's a 10-second buff which makes the user immune to all physical damage for 10 seconds. However, you are able to purge it, so whenever you see it up, it's worth using Tranquilizing Shot to try and dispel it. Freedom will grant the target immunity to movement impairing effects, and it is dispellable. However, if the ret is running Unbound Freedom, then you will not be able to dispel it if the ret uses Freedom on themselves. Next, I'll talk about Seraphim. This is a 45-second cooldown and it increases all of the ret stats, meaning they'll be able to do a large amount of damage. If they pop this, it's a good idea to try and start pre-kiting if you're not already stunned. And if they also use Avenging Wrath or Wings, they're going to do insane amounts of damage. So therefore, it's a good idea to rush yourself instantly or the target that they're bursting on. And it can also be a good idea for one of your team to trinket, for example, the Priest trinket Grips, or your Feral trinkets to heal you, or sometimes you might even need to trinket Turtle. It's worth using these large defensives, as if you live this, the ret won't have that much damage until their next burst window. Now I'll quickly talk about Hodge. Hodge is the ret's only stun and it lasts for 6 seconds and it is a minute cooldown. And also healers are able to dispel Hodge. When the Ret uses his Hodge, it's likely he's going to try and burst or do large amounts of damage, so therefore you have to be wary of this, and if you get Hodged, then you'll need to react fast if you need to trinket or use a defensive. Next, I'll talk about Final Reckoning, and Final Reckoning does a large amount of damage, and it'll also increase the amount of damage you take from the Ret's holy abilities. So therefore, whenever they use Final Reckoning on you, it's likely they're going to use more burst. So if you're able to, try and pre-kite this go. The biggest burst which a Ret will have is with Avenging Wrath. This increases their damage, healing, and also their critical strikes chance by 20%. So therefore, it's a very good time to use Roar of Sacrifice, as they'll normally also pair this with Seraphim. So therefore, you'll be completely negating that crit. Because Avenging Wrath makes a Paladin do so much damage, it's normally a good time for you to use your defensive CDs and a kite. It's very important that you don't underestimate their damage and die without pressing defensives, or if you just press them too late. When Avenging Wrath is pressed, it's likely one of your team is going to need to trinket or pop major defensive cooldowns. However, this is very situational, but there's normally not that many other times where you need to trinket versus Rets, as all of their damage is very scripted. And most Rets will try and pop all their cooldowns in one go to try and kill you in a Hodge or even a blind. Shield of Vengeance is one of the Ret's defensive cooldowns, however it's interesting as it can also be used defensively. It creates a barrier around them that absorbs damage. However, the way it can be used offensively is that when the shield expires, it inflicts holy damage equal to the amount that it absorbed, divided by all enemies that are nearby. So for example, if you're far away from your healer, and you damage the Shield of Vengeance, and it bursts when you're right next to it, it's going to deal around 20 to 30k damage to you. This can be enough to kill you if they use other cooldowns at the same time. So therefore, whenever you're going through Shield of Vengeance, try to make sure that either you're stacked to split the damage between your entire team, or ideally you're far enough away so that it will not do the damage to you. The final ability which I'll be talking about is Divine Toll, and this will cast 5 judgments and it will do very high amounts of damage. It's on a 1 minute cooldown with a 30-yard range, so if you're running survival tactics and you're far from the Ret whilst he casts it, then you're going to be able to feign death whilst the hammers are still in the air, and therefore you won't take any damage from the ability. If you cannot feign death, then it will do around 40% of your health, if the Ret doesn't get extremely lucky and crit all of them. If he crits all of them, obviously it will do more, and if he crits none, it will do slightly less. If the Ret runs the talent Judgments of the Pure, then one poison, disease, or magic effect applied by the target to the Ret's ally will be removed every time he casts Judgment. So therefore, when he's casting Divine Toll and he does 5 judgments, if it's used on you as a hunter and you have a trap on the healer, it will remove the trap. So therefore, it's important to always have a hunter's mark on the healer, because although it won't make any difference if he uses Divine Toll, if he uses his normal judgments on you, then he only has a 50% chance of getting the trap, instead of a 100% chance. It's the same principle as when you're fighting against a warlock and they're using the imp to dispel the traps. One other build which you should be aware of is the Blinding Light build, and this is where they try to kill you in a blind or a Hodge. So what they're going to do is they're going to first use Blinding Light on you or the target that they're trying to kill. And it's even better if they get a double Blinding Light, for example in 2s on you and your healer. They will then pop Seraphim and their cooldowns, and they will get you very low in the Blinding Light. If you trinket this, then they will immediately Hodge you, and if you don't trinket this, by the time you've been able to trinket the Hodge, it's likely that you're going to die. So the best course of action for this is for either you or your healer to trinket to ensure that you survive their go. As if you survive, it's unlikely they'll be able to kill you in between their goes, so they'll have to wait for their next go to get any more pressure. And during this time, it's likely that you'll be able to land a kill on them and therefore win yourself the game. That's all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. I pushed Gladiator the other day, so I'll be making a video on some of the games and the best bits for that this week, so stay tuned. Also, once again, a big thanks to Flappyret for helping me film the content for this video. I've put his Twitch in the description so you guys can check him out. I hope you all have a great day. Peace out.